beneath the silent mountains. In the depths of the earth untouched by light, sleeps something that should have been extinct millions of years ago. Not a myth, not a legend, but an unseen threat. An ancient predator that's intelligent, patient, and still alive. This story isn't about ordinary monsters. It's about a human expedition that dug too deep, awakening something that should have remained buried. Prepare yourselves. Listen carefully. Because the deeper we go, the harder it is to distinguish between scientists and prey. If you enjoy stories like this, leave a comment below. Do you believe there are still prehistoric creatures hiding underground today? A thin mist shrouded the peaks of the northern karst mountains, a place far from the reach of technology and human settlement. Beneath moss-covered rocks and steep ravines, a geological expedition team from Mardika University of Indonesia was conducting underground research. Little did they know that their footsteps would awaken something long dormant. Dr. Hanif, the expedition leader, stared at the sonar monitor with a furrowed brow. There's a large cavity at a depth of 200 meters. It's not recorded on any cave maps, he muttered. The assistants immediately prepared. Descending was nothing new for them, but that night felt different. The air was colder. The silence was more intense. They set up ropes and lighting equipment, then descended into a narrow crevice into the bowels of the earth. The deeper they went, the more bizarre the atmosphere became. The cave walls were not only covered in stalactites, but also strange patterns resembling carvings or claws. On the cave floor, they found a giant bone fragment. "This doesn't belong to any animal listed in the fossil catalog," said Ronnie, a paleontologist. She stared at a piece of bone that looked like a skull, but its eyes weren't where they should be. Too many holes. Too many bite marks. Everyone fell silent as the motion detector beeped. Something moved, but nothing was visible. Only shadows. Long shadows creeping behind the flashlights. Suddenly Baga's, one of the technician's headlamps, flickered. In an instant he fell to the ground. His voice choked. They shone the light on him, but all they could see was his helmet. His body was gone. Ronnie screamed. Hanif pulled everyone back. "Get up now," he shouted. But the safety rope had snapped. They were trapped. Above them, the cave opening was slowly closing with falling rocks. Radio communication was disrupted. The only way forward was into the darkness. They had just entered untouched territory, and something was watching them. Silence reigned in the cave again, but there was a faint sound, like breathing, heavy, long close. Darkness was now their only companion. Their headlamps could only illuminate a few meters ahead, beyond which was an abyss of nothingness. There was no signal, no exit. Only rocks, bones, and the damp smell of earth that had been too long without light. Dr. Hanif walked at the front, breathing heavily. Behind him, Ronnie clutched her backpack containing bone samples tightly. Her face was pale, her body trembling, not from the cold, but from a fear she couldn't explain. They had lost Bogas, but they hadn't yet had time to comprehend what had happened. Suddenly they entered a larger cave. It was here that they saw it. Footprints. Large, long, with toes gripping the ground, as if the creature were dragging its claws. But it wasn't just the size that was strange, but the direction of the footprints. Not away, but closer, toward them. "Something lives here," Ronnie whispered. Hanif examined the cave's surface with an ultraviolet flashlight. On the stone wall, a primitive painting appeared. A human, or something resembling a human, was being attacked by a giant black figure with glowing eyes. The painting appeared to be older than modern human civilization. Much older. "This is impossible. This isn't just a fossil," Hanif said softly. Before they could process what they were seeing, a sound came from the darkness. Not a roar. Not the whistling of the wind. But like a layered, deep, and piercing snort. It was as if the creature wasn't just breathing, but speaking at a frequency that only our primordial instincts could perceive. Radit, their drone operator, hurriedly turned on the small device to record. The small drone hovered slowly, entering a narrow passage to the other side of the cave. The monitor screen showed a quiet passage, until suddenly the image shook. For a brief moment, a large figure was seen moving very quickly, passing behind the rocks. The image cut off. The drone shattered. Radit fell silent. He slowly stood up and stepped back soundlessly. But as his feet touched the wet rocks, he slipped. Within seconds, his body was dragged by something into the darkness. His screams echoed, then vanished. Ronnie covered her mouth. Hanif pulled her behind a large rock. "Quiet. Don't make a sound," he whispered. They could both feel it. The creature was still nearby, waiting, lurking. And this time they knew for sure. What they were facing wasn't just some ancient predator, but something intelligent, impatient. The team was now down to 2 people. Dr. Hanif and Ronnie, trapped in a labyrinth of ancient caves that followed no geological logic. Every passage branched off into more darkness. Every wall seemed to move. Time lost its meaning. Ronnie leaned against a boulder, trying to calm her breathing. Her body was tired, but her mind was even more exhausted. She kept hearing whispers or echoes, or perhaps something far older than language. Hanif opened a digital map. It was useless. Their compass spun wildly, as if the Earth's poles didn't apply here. But one thing was clear: they were getting deeper. And the creature hadn't attacked yet. It was as if herding. In the next passage they found a large circular chamber. In the center, a depression like a natural altar. Around it, piles of bones, human, animal, and some unidentifiable. The walls of the chamber were covered in scratches, not man-made, but like repeated claw marks. Like a ritual. Then the sound came again. A step. Heavy. Closer. Hanif pulled Ronnie along, and they ran to the other side of the room, into a narrow, darker tunnel. They crept, crawling between the rough rocks, until they finally emerged on the other side of the cave, which looked different. The walls were warmer. Steam was rising from the cracks in the rock. In the distance there was light. Not from their devices, but like the glow of bioluminescence, the natural light of living things. A greenish color, dim but alive. They drew closer, and there for the first time they saw it clearly. The creature stood upright. Its skin was layered, like a combination of exoskeleton and muscle tissue. Its eyes didn't glow, but absorbed the light. Its movements were silent, barely touching the ground. Around it, smaller creatures like larvae crawled along the walls, writhing, growing. "This isn't a lone predator," Hanif said in a barely audible voice. "This is a nest." Ronnie backed away, but the rock behind her shifted. The creature turned its head. Just a glance, but enough. Saw them.